Let's examine a group of filters known as the noise filters. There are 5 of them. We're going to look at 2 of them in detail. We're going to look at add noise, so we'll skip that for now. Despeckle, basically it detects edges in an image, and once it finds the edges, it blurs all the selection areas except the edges. You maintain detail, smooth out interior areas. Dust and scratches, we're going to use on this image. Median reduces noise in images by blending the brightness of pixels within a selection, and reduce noise does exactly what it says it does. It attempts to reduce the noise of the image. Let's go to dust and scratches. I have an old image here, relatives, and all these little pieces of dust and scratch that are all over the place. We'll go ahead and go into filter, go down to noise, and over and down to dust and scratches. I like what dust and scratches does. Look up here in this corner. I don't like what it's doing to their faces. Dust and scratches is a blanket effect. It's going to look at the whole image. It really doesn't know the difference between, say, a smiling face with white teeth and a scratch somewhere in the background. What we have to do is focus and target. Selection. It'll work if we select the right areas. Let's cancel out of here for the moment. Over here in my channels palette, I've made a quick selection. Now, it's a selection of the background, not them. So we're just going to look at this in terms of the top half of the image. How do I make that into a selection? Hold down the Control key and click right here. You have a selection. Go back to RGB and go back to layers, and finally go back to filter, noise, dust and scratches. As you can see, it's only going to work in these areas, so we can control the process. I can turn this on and off, and that's actually not too bad. If you increase the radius, as you can see, you're increasing the blur factor, and I don't want that to happen. 2 seems to be actually quite nice. Threshold, the more I move threshold to the right, the more I'm going to begin getting more of the imperfections back, because that determines the shift in brightness where a scratch occurs. We want that typically pretty low. We don't want it all the way down to 0. That's a little bit too much in terms of blurring, but we do want it a couple of points up. In this case, we're doing a 2 and a 2. The only thing I see going away from those areas are the dust and scratches. Everything else seems to look pretty good. You like that? Click OK. Remove the selection, Control D, and we're successfully beginning to remove the dust and scratches from the image using that filter in a targeted way. Remember, when you use a lot of these filters, selection can really help. Let's look at something else here. Let's go into an untitled, create a new document. Fill it with a color. Pick up like a gray, like a middle gray right about here. Don't forget the shortcut for filling an area with the current foreground color is Alt, backspace, and that, of course, is Option, Delete on a Macintosh. So we've got that area filled. Let's go to the word filter and go down to the word noise and say add noise. Now, when you're adding noise, you have monochromatic. If you turn that off, you're going to get color. I don't want color. I'm going to leave that at monochromatic. The more noise amount you add, the noisier, if you will, it gets. Let's move that down to about like a 40 or so, somewhere around there. Gaussian is more random, therefore it is more aggressive. We're going to stick to uniform. Click OK. So we've used the noise filter on a middle gray to produce this random noise effect. Fine. Now go back up to the word filter and go into blur and select motion blur. Now what I'm trying to do here is generate almost like a brushed aluminum or brushed metal look. So the angle should be probably 0, left to right. The distance is how aggressive it is. Just depends on what you're looking for. I want something maybe about like that. Click OK. You will notice one of the problems with this filter is it falls off on the edges. And I want the whole thing uniform. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this box a little bit bigger. Let's drag it out a little bit. Pick up your selection tool, rectangular that is, and get right about where it starts. And I want you to select all of the areas except the fallouts. Come over to the word edit and go down to free transform. All I want you to do is grab the middle anchor here and drag it all the way to the edge this way, and this one, and drag all the way to the edge this way, and then double click or press the return key to set it. And so we've gotten rid of that fall off. We have something that looks somewhat like a little bit of brush metal. Let's do one more thing. Create a blank layer. Click the button right here. Pick up your shape drawing tool right here, custom shapes. Pick up a shape, and we'll just do something. Let's do a bunny. Come over on the screen, in the new layer, and draw the bunny. Won't hardly see it because we're using the same color. Color is not important here. Come over into the FX button down here for that layer and go into Bevel and Emboss. And let's choose an outer bevel, which makes it harsher. We won't change anything else. Click OK. Now in that layer, remove the fill. And what you've got is the visual impression, smoke and mirrors, of that image being embossed out of that surface. And of course, we know in reality it isn't. We're just looking through. But the human mind is an amazing thing when it sees light and dark areas. So we've created some brush metal using a filter noise, add noise. We stretched it out with a motion blur, and we threw this in just to have a little bit of fun.